I discovered that I wanted to do acting when I was 8, I would say. My brother convinced me to go see Hook instead of Beauty and the Beast when we were house sitting at Christmas time. And Hook became one of the most important movies to me because it helped me discover, like, oh, I want to do acting. I want to pretend. I want to play. I want to do what Robin Williams is doing. And I knew what voiceover was because we had a very heavy animation upbringing where we watched all the Disney movies, all the Disney shorts, all the Looney Tunes shorts, Hanna-Barbera. Like, we watched everything. A couple years later, Aladdin came out, and it was Robin Williams as the genie. And that's when it occurred to me, like, this is the specific thing I want to do. I want to do animation. I want to do voiceover for cartoons. I knew it was a thing, but I didn't know, like, you could be that. Which, of course, makes perfect sense, but to an 8-year-old, we're not really thinking that way. So I knew that's what I wanted to do, was to be a voice actor, but I had no idea how to go about it, other than it seemed like all the big, heavy-hitting voice actors, at least for Disney, they were all Broadway people. So at the time, my pathway was, okay, I'll learn how to do stage acting and theater training, and I'll move to New York, and I'll be in a few Broadway shows, and then I can do voiceover. Because my hubris, I didn't learn until I got to New York, like, this is a career in and of itself. People, live and die by the Great White Way, and it's not something you dabble in. You have to give it your all, just like any passionate career. And when I saw how much my peers were getting up so early for auditions, looking for homes, looking for works, it was a lot of output for not as much input, just because my body type, my face type, my vocal type, my age, it wasn't a marketable aspect. And I had gotten an injury a few years prior working at Disneyland, which really stopped my dancing career. Like, I had damaged my knee so bad, like I had to give up ballet, I gave up jazz, I gave up tap, I couldn't do any dancing. And that depression kind of begets itself, so I gained a lot of weight, and I just was too scared to start up dancing again. And I was good at it too. But the goal had been to learn those things for Broadway. So when I came back home to California, I was like, I'm not sure what to do at this point. How does one pursue voiceover as a career if you can't be on the stage? And thankfully, the internet showed options of you can take acting classes, workshops, seminars to direct your acting ability into voiceover. Like, you have to be an actor first and foremost. You need acting training. You have to know all of those basics before you can narrow it down and push it in the direction you want. So I had that down. So I took Bob Bergen's class. It was one of those 8-week courses. I took Richard Horvitz's class. I took any workshop I could get my hands on through Hope Levy and Mary Lynn Wisner. Like, they were prominent workshop producers in town who could bring in agents. They bring in vocal directors. They bring in casting directors. They bring in fellow actors. And I still go to classes to this day because you can always learn something new, or even just to kind of check in, because it's a nice feeling if you go to the class to learn, okay, I've read for this name so many times. I've never met them. They've never met me. It's a chance to play with them, because you never know where that could lead. And I've had a handful of casting directors who had said, like, oh, yes, we see your auditions. We hear them. We love them. We're just waiting for the right role to come along, because there can only be one. So that's part of the journey. The job is auditioning, and you really have to love that. You have to love what you're creating. And if it doesn't spark any interest at all, even if it could be hard, but if it's not interesting, pass on the audition, because you want to live that character when you're performing. So once I started meeting those people, and I met Bill Farmer, who made my demo, and he walked me into his agent, and I got my agent, that was when I considered myself having officially started, because now I was being sent auditions and then sent back to casting people in a competitive nature. My first ever role, they kind of happened at the same time. I did a narration for a drunk driving educational video to help persons rehabilitating from alcoholism learn about the dangers of drinking and driving. And then I also did some uncredited work on the Drawn Together movie through a contest I won at San Diego Comic-Con, which is in and of itself a ridiculous story. But that was my first big project. And I kept in touch with the creators, and they had me read for other projects of theirs. I went up to like the final callback, me and Jennifer Tilly. You can imagine who got the role. But somebody there sent me to the Mr. Pickles people, couple offices over, because they were also pitching that show. So I went in and read for them, and I booked the lead of that show. We did that show for, I want to say like 8 years. Like, we were on for a while. It had some fun transitions. The focus changed here and there, but we were together for 8 years. And then it's on indefinite hiatus. So your mileage may vary. But with that show under my belt and a new demo, that's how I got my agent. And I did a lot of one-off characters, guest stars, or kind of tertiary roles where they might appear a third of the way through, a third of the time in a show or less. So Felicia Sundew on Amphibia was a big one. I did multiple one-offs for the Thundercats Roar show, which was one of my personal favorites because we all recorded ensemble, and I loved every single person in that room. That's how I met Jim Meskimen. La 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 la. Just a handful of things. Blaze and the Monster Machines, Loud House, just popping in here and there for some fun things. And then my agents knew I had the dream of doing Minnie Mouse when they signed me on. So when Brucey passed away very, very unexpectedly, a few weeks later, they sent out the audition. So I got it for sure. And I worked on it all week. I had my best friends that I trusted come over and like, close your eyes. We're going to play references and then play me. How close am I? What do the vowels sound like? What is the nasality? Like, get as nitty and gritty as possible. Because those little things, that's what makes the difference. And then I submitted it. And then a week later, they did a callback. I did the callback. I was freaking out the whole time. And then freaking out for a week after. I'd never been so anxious before. And like constantly checking email, checking voicemail. Did the call drop? How many girls have they going to see? How many cities did they go to? You don't know with something like this. And I was just like at the seams. And then the following week, I got the second call back, similar to the first. And then after that, they said, okay, we're going to send you to TV and film. So I relaxed because it's like, okay, I have a third callback out the gate. I don't have to freak out as much. And then when I went in for the third callback, it was the gig. I wasn't actually told I had booked it. So I didn't have time to freak out when I found out or second guess myself, but I didn't have that moment of zen, that moment of like, you got it. They said yes to an actor that's manna from heaven. And I just go in like, what do you mean I got it? Right now, we're going in right now. Oh, okay. And then there were like 15 people in the room because everyone wanted to see like, okay, who did you pick? It's been 3 weeks. How did you pick someone in 3 weeks? We don't buy it. And then we started working, and then halfway through, a bunch of people got up and left the room, and I started freaking out again, like, did I drive them out? What is happening? And it was just like where they're like, oh, okay. We sign off, we check her off, and then they left to go to lunch. But I didn't know that until a couple years later. They don't tend to tell us too much because there's no need. But for a spiraler like myself, it certainly would have helped to have known that.